Great drumming in unexpected places. Here we are again. And a few weeks ago, my wife and I started watching a TV show. So we're back to TV. And this show is on Apple TV and it's called The Studio. From Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg. It's a show about a fictional television studio in Hollywood. And we're watching and we get to, it's great and I'm loving it. It's very funny and cringy and anxiety inducing. And everybody's fantastic on it. The writing's great. And we get to an episode called The Note. And it's got Ron Howard and there's this very anxious, very stressful storyline happening. And as I'm listening to it, I realize that this entire soundtrack is jazz drums. It's all drums. It's all percussion. I'm going, oh my God, how did I not notice this? It was totally unexpected, which again, if you keep your ears open and your mind open, you can find great drumming in totally unexpected places. So I immediately, my ears go to the soundtrack and it's fantastic. And there's different voices and voices meaning different percussion instruments, different timbres. I'm hearing certain characters get certain voices and other characters get other voices and all these great things. And I'm just like blown away by the quality of the drumming, the composition of the drumming, the way it comes across. The panic of it, the anxiety of it, it's perfect. Jazz drums are so perfect for this kind of storytelling. And so I start looking into it. And as I'm watching more of the show, I'm getting more blown away by this soundtrack. And they have, there's the Note episode, which is where I noticed it. But then there's another episode called The Oneer. And this blew me away because, just as an aside, it's one full episode shot in one shot. And it is completely blown away. It's a total accomplishment for any production to get something done in one shot, let alone an entire episode. And it's really fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, it's definitely worth watching, at least that one episode. But again, the soundtrack, it blew me away. And so I found this quote from Seth Rogen. Well, he was on the Armchair Expert podcast with Dax Shepard. And they talked a little bit about the soundtrack and how, has these cool jazz drums everywhere. And Seth Rogen was saying, he told the composer, I'd never want it to be rhythmic. I'd never want it to settle into a rhythm. Whenever it feels rhythmic, it gets boring. And so always make it a little off and uneasy. And jazz drums is perfect for that. So I ran with that and I looked into who the composer was, and it's a Mexican drummer. He's from Mexico City. His name's Antonio Sanchez, and he's a Berklee Jazz Studies graduate, a New England Conservatory of Music graduate. He's on the faculty at NYU, 4-time Grammy winner. This guy's done it all. He's in his own group right now. They've got an album out with Bela Fleck and Edmar Castañeda. Where they're doing their thing. They're on tour right now. They got the album, so check that out too. He was a composer for Get Shorty and Birdman, and Birdman has the same qualities as this soundtrack, and they actually used Birdman as a spec soundtrack for the studio. So it's only fitting that Antonio do the soundtrack for the studio. And you can check out the soundtrack for the studio on Spotify, or you can buy it, whatever. It's great stuff. And so as I'm listening to it and watching the show, it occurs to me that this is all, it has to be improvisation. It has to be comping, jazz comping. So jazz comping is something that jazz musicians do to add an element of color and flavor to the improvisation of the music. Because jazz musicians, we improvise, that's our thing. And comping is short for compliment. You want to add to whatever the other musicians are doing. So you complement each other by playing different things. So if I'm in a quartet, say, and there's a trumpet solo, and I'm listening to what the trumpet's playing. And I'm going to play off of what they play with what I play. And it might be as simple as a couple hits on the snare or something on the bass drum or a little flourish or whatever. It might build more and it might become something else. And I might play off what the piano player plays, or I might play off what the bass player plays, and they'll play off me, and we all play off each other, and it's all comping. It's all improvised, on the spot, listening and complementing each other. And so comping is an essential part of jazz. And so what Antonio is doing, and I went to an interview that he did with Soundworks Collection. And so what he was saying that he does is he'll watch a scene and learn it and understand what's going on. And then he'll kind of mark important things that happen. And then he'll improvise. He'll just improvise and make sure that he hits those marks to add to the soundtrack. And what he's doing is comping with the dialogue and the action. So he's playing jazz with a TV show, which is awesome. It blows my mind. So he'll use, he'll maybe do a take with sticks, and he'll do a take with brushes. He'll do a take with mallets, and he'll start to build these layers of improvisation that he can use to build the soundtrack. And one of the other things that he does, and it's super important in jazz and in comping and playing with each other, is to leave space. So if there's a line of dialogue, that's very important. And he's playing a lot and playing and playing, and then he stops, and then that line is delivered. That line carries a lot more weight. And so it's the same thing if you're playing in a group. If I back out and let somebody say what they want to say with their instrument, what they say carries more weight. So he's applied those same principles to soundtracking a television show. So he was saying, Antonio was saying that improvisation is spontaneous composition, and he improvises through the whole soundtrack. There are some things that are written. There are other episodes that have a more composed soundtrack. But for the most part, he's just improvising, and he's just comping with the dialogue and the action. So if you get a chance, watch the show. It's really impressive stuff. I can't recommend it more. Check out, again, the Beat Trio. They're on tour here and there, and they have the album out. And if you want to check out more of what Antonio's up to, you can follow him on Instagram at AntonioDrums1. You can also follow me on Instagram at Garrett Miller Drums. And if you get a chance, watch the show. It's fantastic. And you can check out Antonio's masterful improvisation skills. So again, keep your ears open and your mind open, and you can find great drumming in the most unexpected places. I'll see you next time.